As you may or may not know, effective January 3rd, 2023, new provincial legislation will come into effect, which will allow many residential home buyers to cancel a purchase agreement within 3 business days of acceptance. If this rescission is exercised, the buyer is liable to pay 0.25% of the purchase price to the seller with no further obligations to move forward. The hope is that home buyers will be protected from the pressure to make a snap decision during periods when the real estate market is more competitive than usual. At the time of writing an offer, more information will be provided to real estate buyers and sellers, but there are some very important key points that we want to discuss today so that buyers and sellers understand the limitations of this new legislation. Home buyers need to be aware that this rescission period does not guarantee that the buyers can do a building inspection. There's nothing requiring a seller to allow access for this purpose. So at a minimum, you should specify a term in your purchase agreement that the seller will permit building inspection to take place. Likewise, if there is due diligence that requires the cooperation of the sellers, such as a review of building plans or the provision of strata documents or tenancy agreements, this should also be specified in the contract. Also, timing and the form of any rescission really matters. It is important that you discuss in advance with your agent how any rescission will be delivered to the sellers so that it can be served to them effectively. Even if it's a minute late, it won't take effect. The period of rescission starts when an offer is accepted, and it's not when conditions are removed or the deposit's paid, and that's very important to know. Where possible, buyers will find that often they're better protected with well-drafted conditions rather than relying on this legislation. On the other hand, sellers need to be aware of a few things. Not every transaction that collapses will result in a 0.25% fee from the buyer to them. If the buyer has conditions on their contract that are not waived or fulfilled, such as the subject to financing, the contract will terminate without any compensation due from the buyer to the seller. If the buyer rescinds or cancels the offer before the deposit is paid, the seller needs to know that they're going to have to take the buyer to court if they don't pay willingly. So a prompt deposit payment could be to the seller's advantage. Not every purchase is also eligible for this. There are exemptions for leasehold properties, foreclosures, and pre-construction purchases, for a few examples. You must clarify that it applies to your purchase if you intend to rely on it. Finally, rescission is effective when it's transmitted and not received. So if a buyer cancels a contract by, say, registered mail, it could take up to 4 business days to receive that notice. For this reason, sellers need to be very careful before committing to a new purchase within the 7 business days after they accept an offer on their current property. We hope this extra information will help, and professionals at Alexandrite are always here and happy to assist you on your next purchase or sale.